Now, I'm gonna check the YouTube. How have you been, Nigel?
Oh, okay. I could complain, but really, who would listen?
Yeah,
I'm doing like most everyone else is doing in this day and age. With the dealing with the pandemics and now trying to figure out what to do with your own time and now try not to strangulate the people that you live with because you're
yeah.
spending way too much time with them than you normally do. So, but
Humanity.
other than that, yeah, managing would be a good way of putting it.
That's
You
good.
take everything day to day, one day at a time, one step at a time.
That's true enough. That's been my goal too. So it's learning new routines. Because you're involved in things that are very live event oriented, and here we are. Everything's canceled. All my events until July are gone.
Oh
Uh,
my goodness.
August is still hanging on because it's August, so we'll see. Have you heard anything about any of your events coming back on or what their plans are?
I recently saw an announcement for VIP Wrestling's Texas Mania 3.
Okay.
And it looks like Texas Mania 3 may still be a go because someone just recently, someone likes you, likes that you're going. I'm like,
Oh,
that's all right. It's the end of May. I
okay.
want to say the 22nd. So, and I know that I believe it's Metroplex Wrestling.
Okay.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
they're doing a show. I want to say I think they're doing actually a Prison Break show with a Prison
Yeah,
Break match in it,
that's right. I
uh,
saw that.
which is really exciting for them. I'm really very glad because they were one of the companies
Mm-hmm.
that I was worried for. Not because there's reason to worry. They put on a great product and they've got tremendous fans, but they're one of the few products in the Dallas Metroplex that has their own building, and so they've got
Mm.
rent and other bills. They've got
Yep. Yep.
overhead that
Yep.
they actually have to worry about.
There's a I because I've been around production, and there is a way to accomplish pro wrestling and keep it fairly safe. Like I believe, like you have to be very diligent
Mm,
about keeping distances, letting a crew come in first, do their job, and then they leave. Then another crew comes in, and like
mm.
everybody can be very separate to do the product. But there's sacrifices that has to be made. So like you're after you do the event, I feel you should be locked up for like 2 weeks just in case. You know what I mean? Just
Fair.
go right into quarantine right
Well,
away, or just keep working with
Well, I
each
mean,
other.
what was it? WWE after WrestleMania. I want to say it was like
Oh.
maybe a week or two after WrestleMania. There was
Mm-hmm.
announcements that two, three staffers had
Yeah.
come down with the coronavirus, and nobody would say for certain whether it was wrestling talent or
Oh, right on.
whether it was someone in the offices. So no, um,
It gets tricky.
you know. This is a very interesting and precarious time, and God bless everybody that's being adventurous and we're going to go go right ahead. We're going to do this.
Yeah.
Uh, but personally, I mean, I'm not saying I won't be accepting any recent to come recent bookings that are going to pop up soon. But I do have to make sure that I sit down and I think very
Mm-hmm.
strongly about it because my folks are octogenarian and septuagenarian, so just by age alone,
Mm-hmm. That's
they
true.
fall into a susceptible category. So I have to be very careful
Yeah.
about that.
Every time I hear about events, I would like to see what their plans are. So when
Mhm.
the UC said they're gonna go forward, I'm like, all right, what's your testing like? How do you keeping like? Let me know, and
Right.
I can feel comfortable about what steps they're taking. But a lot of things I keep hearing, like once I heard the state was opening up, I was like, okay, and I saw their steps. Like, all right, at least there's steps. Like they're taking these
Right.
precautions. All right, cool. There's a game plan. I wish
Mhm.
there was more steps, but that's how government works. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Well, I mean, the other side of that problem is there's so many people who are absolutely positive that what's going on is the impingement of rights,
yeah,
and I understand where those people are coming from, and I get their fears. At the same time, I I remember, and not because I was there, but because I've done a little bit of research historically. I remember the Spanish flu. When the Spanish flu hit, Spanish flu, France in particular took very much the same precautions that are going on here
Okay.
in this country. Very much a no, stay at home, don't go out unless you absolutely need.
Yeah.
And of course, with all the modern conveniences today, we find different reasons to go out. You do fast food, you go to the
Mm-hmm.
drive-through, and of course, grocery stores so much more convenient today
Yeah.
than was it in 1918 or
Yeah.
something? Yeah,
Wait. Yeah.
yeah. But entertainingly enough, was I read a supposed letter from F. Scott Fitzgerald to a friend of his, and in the letter, F. Scott Fitzgerald had commented that Hemingway believed that the Spanish flu was all some kind of government conspiracy, and he didn't believe that it was really a thing.
It's you.
Uh,
You see, I've seen propaganda posters for against electricity, against vaccines. Like Dr. Seuss drew these. These are Dr. Seuss propaganda posters and exact same issues. I was like, okay,
yeah,
we'll
yeah.
just keep cycling. Hopefully, now with the communication all over everything, we can talk and like learn faster. So, like everything's
I, I
pivoted.
I really hope so. But the other side of that is one thing that I don't think anyone's really paying close attention to is the Spanish flu. It receded and then came back, and when it
Mm-hmm.
came back, the original death toll was something like 3 to 5 million.
Yeah.
The second round was 15 to 20 million.
Yeah.
So I really hope that we all take a little bit of time to not kind of say oh my rights, but let's let's figure out what's the best course of action for
Yeah,
everybody.
that second curve is coming. Like, it's coming, and our behavior now is that's the curve we really need to worry about flattening. Is that
Yes,
second one? That first one is like, all right, it's like the tsunami. Like you see something happen, like okay, that's a sign something big's coming. How do we prepare for it? So
right,
we'll see what
exactly.
happens. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was gonna tonight on something a little more topical here.
Sure,
Um,
absolutely.
we because talking about live events, things like that. So
Hmm.
as Nigel, you move between promotions and events quite a bit, and there. So that means to me that there are a lot of masters to serve. Like there's agendas and there's roles that you have to play. Um, how do you balance that, but keeping true to yourself and making sure you deliver what you're comfortable with?
Well, one of the nice things about it's professional wrestling is not. I mean, people say it's scripted, and that's a vastly oversimplification of what is. There's subtle nuances to the term scripted, and it's you know it's yes, to certain degrees I play a character, but the character is also very much me. Um, when I'm the villain, when I'm the heel, I'm playing, really kind of, these are the things that when I'm in a bad mood or
Okay.
I don't like someone, I wish I could get away with doing. And when I get to be the good guy, I'm really not too terribly far from my true self.
Yeah, I
Um,
can see that.
but when you say when I'm being Nigel, is I'm always Nigel.
Gotcha.
That's always who I am. It's the subtle differences and the subtle nuances that come into play that determine my behavior and which Nigel people get. Because you get a different. Like for example, you go to a show. I was at before all of this happened. I was at a SWE Fury house show, and at the house show, I was villainous and yelling at the fans. And a little child, sweet little child, came to try and slap hands with me, and I took a couple steps back, like I was in a fancy restaurant, and a rat had come up to me, and I was like, ah, and the child who, bless the poor thing's heart, it must have been little boy. He must have been no more than 2, 3 years old at the oldest. And from my reaction, he was unfortunately very hurt, but that's perfect for what I need to do as the bad guy. I need to make people go, oh, look at what an evil man he is. He made a child cry. And at the end of, that was, that was the first half of the show. At intermission, I'm trying to sell merchandise. So, I'm still the bad guy, but then I'm also trying to encourage you to purchase the things that I sell. One of the ways that I do that is, I'll take pictures with the fans. I'll take pictures with kids. When I take pictures with kids, because I don't want to do, the friendly little, I mean, I'll do those from time to time. But the pictures I like taking are the pictures where, because I'll wear a scarf to the ring, and I'll carry a cricket bat when it's not been broken by a mysterious person, or a kendo stick or something. Like, for example, I'll twist the scarf up so it's kind of like a makeshift noose, and I'll hand it to the kid, and I'll say, all right, hold this with one hand, and with the other hand, ball up your fist like you're going to hit me. And so they do that, and I take a picture. Exactly, you get something fun, and not only do you get something fun, but I don't damage the mystique of the villain that I play, because, oh, sure, yeah, okay, I'm being beaten up by a child, and that probably maybe wouldn't happen, perhaps. But
in the world of pro wrestling, anything is possible.
Absolutely. But the other side of it is, it doesn't show me playing nice with children, for the purposes of making fans. What it shows is that, the kids are doing something to this villain, and this guy, he calls Trouble the Hole. And I actually, the poor little dear who I made cry, he came up to the table with his mom, and he wanted to take a picture with me, or mom wanted him to take a picture, and he was amicable to it for a moment. And then I come around the table, and I'm trying to, and he's very young, so I'm trying. He's like, all right, now this is what we're going to do. And, I get down on his level, and I'm trying to, and he's like, no, I'm done. And he's just kind of, full on child panic.
Yeah.
Apron strings, and his mother's sitting there going, I'm so sorry. He's like, no, I'm sorry.
I heard somewhere in Japan, I believe, they encourage kids to do that, like to go up, especially to the heels. It's like letting them face their fears, because it's a safe environment. Like, they know, the parents know that something terrible isn't going to happen to their child, and they'll have an experience or something scary, and they face it, and they get to walk away from it still intact. It's a very interesting part of their culture, and I see it here. I see it here, like what you said. Kids come up to you, and they encounter you. They have a fun experience. It's not scary anymore. It's it all works out that way.
But I don't think in America it's that well thought out.
Oh, okay.
I don't in America. Shut up. I said shut up. Make a rug out of you. But I love dogs.
Yeah. I said dogs. But because also in Japan they have a thing where there's like a kid's first chore, like it's a big deal, where they see a kid in the street and involve like a backpack or something, and they know it's like, oh, it's his first chore or her first chore, where they go to the market, get milk, and come back on their own. And like it's in a lot of manga and a lot of different things, where I guess it's like a cultural thing where they encourage kids to like go be an adult real quick. Everybody knows, hey, kid being like we have here, student driver. Hey, give this person a little more space because they're learning.
Right.
It's fun though.
Right, absolutely.
So I see you worked with you've done a lot of parts of the industry. Like I was going through your listing. What areas do you feel like really show off your character the most?
Well, it really kind of depends on what I'm allowed to do. Like, for example, when I first got in the business, I got in the business doing commentary, doing heel
Okay.
commentary, a la Bobby the Brain Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon. And while I was doing that, we had someone take over the production of booking the show, and that fella decided, because what we were doing is we were doing the commentary over house mics,
Okay.
which is kind
Oh.
of which we came to, yeah, exactly. It kind of became a no-no, and the reason why it became and we didn't realize this at the time. My friend and I who were doing it, but it's kind of a no-no because if the fans hear it, then that means that the referee hears what, like, so if I'm saying it's like,
Mm.
the villain cheated, it's brilliant,
Yeah.
and the referee hears it while he's, wait a minute, is he cheating? So it kind of exposes the business, and the gentleman that was taking over the production of booking, he went, oh yeah, no, we're not doing this anymore. I don't like it, and several of the guys that I associate here, we don't like it, so we're not going to do it anymore. And so the booking team got regulated to my play-by-play commentator was the sound guy, and he handled all of the sound production. And they really didn't have anything else for me to do except be the announcer. And so
Okay.
I became the announcer. But in being the announcer, I came off of being the announcer after spending like 3-4 months at this point being a bad guy. The fans knew me as a
Mm-hmm.
bad guy.
Yeah.
So I had to be a bad guy announcer.
Interesting.
So yeah, it was. I have a theater background, and so coming from that, it was a tremendously entertaining, creative
Oh.
exercise because I had to figure out how to elicit the responses from the fans that I wanted for the show, and get them to differentiate between I'm asking for you to cheer for me because you don't like me versus I'm asking for you to cheer for, the talent in the back or the show or the guy that was, that kind of, and so, and I literally at one point when I first started doing it, I was announcing, it was a 4th of July show, that we had started late, and because we started late, we started without the national anthem, and so the promoter comes to me and my fellow announcer and is like, "Look, we forgot to do the national anthem. You have to work that in." It's like, "Don't worry, I've got this figured out." And so I come out, I come out and says, "What a great match!" And so I was told that apparently we missed something that's kind of important. I don't know why. But we're going to bring this lady out, and ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the playing of your national anthem. And so from that point on, the fans just disliked me. And so at one point, I'm trying to get some applause going, and I hear
Oh.
one fan. I hear it's like, come on, let me hear you. And I hear one guy go, "Not for you." And I went, "All right," and just like that, I was like, "All right, fine, not for me. What about the ladies and the gentlemen in the back that are busting their ass?" And the end, they're like, "Oh, okay, yeah, we'll cheer for them." Yeah, and they got loud about it.
Yeah.
Uh, so
It's a good pivot. I like
you
it.
know, it really depends on what needs to be done. I started this business as a villain, and I enjoy being a villain. At the same time, I also enjoy being a good guy, a babyface, blue eye, and to it really boils down to what's needed is what determines whether or not I'm good with it or I'm comfortable with it. Like there was one time where a company wanted me to manage a tag team.
Okay.
But the company didn't want me to. They didn't want me to do anything having to do with the Rabid Empire, which was my brand at the time. Well, it's my
Okay.
brand still, but at the time it was very actively my brand. And with it's gotten dark in here. With the with them saying, we don't want you to acknowledge or even talk about the Rabbit Empire. Is like, look, the Rabbit Empire and the merchandise that I sell from the Rabbit Empire, that's part of how I make my money. That's part of how I make it so that I can afford to. I was driving at least 2-3
Mm-hmm.
hours to this show, so it's part of the reason why I can afford to do this is to have the opportunity to sell the merchandise. And if you have me take away my, my stable and not refer to my stable, then I can't.
Yeah.
I can't justify selling, and I'm weird about things. Like, for example, I won't, I've managed Charlie Haas, but I won't sell Charlie Haas merchandise, the merchandise that I had printed and that Charlie let me sell. I won't sell it anywhere that I've not managed Charlie. And the reason why I won't sell it anywhere where I've not managed Charlie is because it doesn't make sense. The fan, I mean, sure, a lot of these fans, because Texas wrestling fans are. They're very committed. You'll have a fan that will hit if you've got 3 shows running in the Dallas area. You got fans that will hit 3 shows in the Dallas area, provided, of course, that everybody's got the monetary capabilities to do so.
But they're dedicated. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, they're very, very dedicated. So a fan will know full well that I manage. I've had fans who come and goes, "Why don't you sell Charlie shirts here?" And I said, "Because I don't manage Charlie here." And they'll go, "Oh, all right, that makes sense." To me, it doesn't make sense if I'm not, if the tag team I'm representing is not a part of the Rabid Empire, and I don't talk about the Rabid Empire, then why sell Rabid Empire merchandise? I don't make the cognitive leap of, well, you have to because you're the, it's like, yeah, all right, no, I'm not doing it here, so I don't do it there.
But it makes sense because, like, from my point of view, if that's part of who you are, that's why I'm bringing you in. Like, that's why I would, you know what I mean? Like, if I need the whole, because if the whole thing works, the whole thing works. I don't take a part of it; take the whole thing.
Well, in defense of this company, the gentleman who was putting together the ideas for that, he had his own creative vision of what he wanted to do and where he was going with it, and he and I worked together on other aspects of his ideas. But it was just that one, and I very politely just said, "Look, I want to," because the tag team was a tag team that I actually like. And I was like, "Oh yeah, this would be fun to watch," and I can't. Oh, okay, yeah, no, never mind. And thankfully at the time I was also doing commentary for them, so it'd be like, all right, well, I'll just keep doing commentary until you've got a better place for me where we can fit this in.
That makes sense.
And it took them a couple of months, but they brought me in, and I had a great time.
Okay.
Short-lived though it was, unfortunately.
Yeah, I always felt when you come to a project or an idea where everybody benefits the most they could, everybody's way more in. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like,
absolutely.
The more you put up, and you feel everybody puts equally the same amount of effort, it takes off, I feel. So if there's a part of you missing, it'll be hard for you to get all in because there's a part of you missing. That makes sense.
Yeah. And I mean, nothing against the fellow, or he had very interesting ideas, and they've done wonderfully, as I understand it, without me. Yeah. So it's good for them.
There's a lot of ideas. Like, everything you see on a consumer, whatever you see in front of you as a product, they are at least 20 or 30 iterations of it that never got the light of day. Like, often, yes. So many, like, all the ideas you have just on car rides, at the bar, backstage, or for us, like at the con, or sitting at our table between panels waiting for the people to come out. We're just shooting shit and we're just talking, and there's so many ideas that come out. But you gotta whittle it down and find something that works for you, for everybody.
Absolutely.
That's cool. So we're hitting, because I know you have something to do later tonight. So
yeah, but we're good for at least another 15-20 minutes.
Okay, cool. Let's see here. I think we got a good coverage. So you do right now. Everything, right? I'm looking at you. You have the podcast because we all had to pivot to do more digital things.
Absolutely.
So because you sent me a link. The Nighttime with Nigel? Storytime with Nigel. So what is that?
I read children's stories.
Okay.
8 o'clock Central every single day. I read children's stories. And like, for example, yesterday, because I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a bit of a Star Wars fan. Uh, Lando was the closest Cinco de Mayo thing I had. Uh, in reference to actually a friend of mine who's a referee for
Oh.
several promotions down here,
Mm-hmm.
Lando del Toro.
I know Lando.
And so, all right,
Small
yes, you
world.
would, wouldn't you? Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Small world.
I've known Lando for about 15, 20 years.
Oh wow. Yeah. My wife Ruby. She went to Acon at Acon 8, so
All right.
she knows everybody. And so I
Yes.
and now I run into everybody too. That's fun. So that's
But
cool. Like, what? Just any? Is there like particular preference that you do, or are you like
well,
choosing themes?
it started with a referee by the name of Stephen Hatfield had suggested on social media that his wrestling friends find something digitally to do, whether it be weight training instruction,
Mm-hmm.
psychology clinics,
Ooh.
things like that. Find something to do. And of course, my smart ass, I had to, I had to go. Oh yeah, because people are going to sign up for, how to insult your friends and loved ones by Nigel Rabid, and
I watch
you
it.
know he laughed at it, and then a fan suggested I do. I read stories. He's like, Nigel, you've got the great voice for it. Go ahead, you should read stories. And at first I didn't take it seriously. I made fun of it, and then I thought about it. And sitting in the living room is a series of books that I read as a child called The Church Mouse or
Okay.
The Church Mice. And it was written and illustrated by a gentleman by the name of Graham Oakley. And Graham used to be he used to paint the backgrounds, the backdrops for the BBC
Oh.
for any of that product. And he is an amazing illustrator. And
Oh.
I had I had I had personal knowledge just from being here and not having anybody go, oh yeah, I know that so few people were aware of this little
Oh.
book series, and so I was like, you know what, maybe I'll go read that tonight. And so randomly on a Tuesday, I did, and I started reading, and we made it through all of the Church Mice books. And after we made it through the Church Mice books, actually, we made it through the Church Mice books that I own. And then I ordered more Church Mice books because
Oh.
I found them. They're very hard to find and they're very expensive. Like the cheapest that I found was, I want to say there was one that was $30. If you look on Amazon,
Wow.
I've seen them as expensive as $800 for a single beautiful artwork,
Mm.
beautiful artwork, but and very brilliantly written. Of course,
Okay.
very British sense of humor about things, but fun, light-hearted, and really, I really enjoyed the series. And so I read those during the week, and
Okay.
on the weekend, I was like, well, what do I do on the weekend? Because if I keep reading children, the picture books, I'm going to run out of books of what I've got here in the house real quick. And so I went, you know what? On the weekends, I'll read chapter books.
Huh.
So Monday through Friday, I do these picture books. And then on Saturday and Sunday, the first book we read and read to completion was C.S. Lewis's Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Oh. Okay.
Uh, and we do about 2 chapters a night on chapter book nights, except if we get that close to the end. Like, for
Yeah.
example, there were 3 chapters that left on the last night, and so I just read all 3 chapters
Yeah. At
because
that point.
I'm not gonna leave you with a chapter. And go, what happened,
Yeah.
Nigel? You're gonna make us wait a week? That's terrible. That's terrible. That's like a television program going, all right, we're gonna leave it on a cliffhanger and get canceled.
Yeah.
It's a horrible idea. And so we did that, and now we've started because I didn't want to do the series all the way through. I kind of wanted to scatter things around so that people got ideas for different kinds of stories, different kinds of things. And so the next one I read was another a childhood favorite of mine called The Chronicles of Prydain.
Okay.
Chronicles of Prydain is where Walt Disney got the Black Cauldron from.
Oh, okay. Hmm.
All right, so we're reading the very first book in that right now. I think we're on chapters. I think 9 and 10 will be the next ones that we do.
Oh,
I think.
cool. Deep
Uh,
into it.
yeah, but like for example, last night because it was May the 4th, I had ordered some golden books. Remember the
Oh,
little golden books? Yeah, with it,
yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
they had a little set that was for sale $20, and I got episodes 1, 2, 3, 4,
Oh,
5, and 6, and so I picked those up, and then just a few days ago I saw that. 7, 8, and 9 were available. Well,
oh, very good.
7 and 8 are available. 9 will be out in August, and then Solo, and then it's
Oh, cool.
I went ahead and ordered them.
Those are cool.
And so we read because and I didn't realize how brief they are, but we ended up about maybe 10 minutes a read, even with some dramatic level reading, and so I went. The original idea was, oh, we're just going to read maybe A New Hope, maybe Empire
Oh, right
Strikes Back.
on.
If it's and we got done with New Hope, and I'm like, that took like 5, 10 minutes. All right, let's go through Empire. That took like 5, 10 minutes. All right, let's go ahead. Went full bore, and so we did the entire original trilogy
Oh, right
last
on.
night. And because I'm one of those strange Star Wars fans that I celebrate 2 days of Star Wars in the
Yep.
month of May. We've got Revenge of the Sixth
Yep.
tomorrow, because I'm not stealing the fifth from Cinco de Mayo. That just feels culturally insensitive. Even though in Mexico right now they're just going, "What? It's just Tuesday."
Yeah.
Yeah,
They love it
but
though.
yeah, I've got that one, and then I've got a Star Wars podcast that I do
Mm-hmm.
with my friend BC, the Jersey Jackass. And actually, last night for Cinco de Mayo, for May the 4th, we did a live stream from our Facebook page, Imperial
Oh,
Space.
cool.
And we used to do a YouTube live stream called What the Force. And What the Force, we did it at was it Nerdvana up near I want to say it's the Colony area,
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
North Plano,
Mm-hmm.
and we were up there in their studio, but they then cut everybody off. Nobody's using our studio anymore.
Oh,
We're not doing it anymore, and so we didn't have a place to do it, and so everything kind of went by the wayside. But last night was really kind of neat because all of us, with the exception of our producer, all of us got on board with it, and so we all spent. By the time we all were managed to get on board and do it, we had maybe about 10, 15, 20 minutes of us just kind of talking Star Wars, talking our opinions,
yeah.
and having a nice little laugh. And the fun part is one of us is in South Korea right now.
Oh,
So
wow.
the fact that we were able to do that really kind of put it the bee in my bonnet, as they say, to maybe do this again and do it more regularly because if we can get away with it, why not?
It's the new normal, I think. Like, it's
Very much so.
it's and we pivoted. I work in online retail, and what we had to pivot to is we had a rush of sales on like laptops and webcams and home office furniture, and everybody signed on real quick. Like, people are
Nice.
doing. I seen stores do live auctions on Facebook. I started this web series as a replacement for conventions because I feel a lot of people, their big selling point is their personality and how they speak to people, and without having a convention, you lose that essence because you can. It's hard to get across on a website if you don't know how to really do a gorgeous website.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
I'm a print guy, so I'm learning web and digital and broadcasting. I can't make a website look as good as my print stuff. So I
Right.
do other things to make it work out. But this is what this is. This is a platform, and I also want to talk to kids about do other things, like start giving people platforms to promote themselves, and then now start talking about conversations, honestly, I would have at the cons. Like, I would talk to you about
Right.
characters and talk about, because I have a long interest in pro wrestling and how it's. I always look at it as a play. It's a live action play. I grew up watching Jackie Chan, and how is that any different? Because he did everything, and it was one long continuous shot. There's no, you have to do the whole thing in a row. They get to redo it because I remember he said he did a fight scene over the course of like a month.
Oh.
WWE having to pivot, and now the Boneyard match and the Fiend match.
Right.
Can't do it live, but filmed like this as a fight stunt thing. Oh, you can do so much more. And
absolutely.
So I'm interested in seeing how they pivot. I'm interested in how a lot of the local guys pivot with. I think with especially with MPX, with the building they have, they can do a small. I think they have a dedicated enough audience to do like a 25% capacity and be okay, and then maybe do web streaming as well.
Well, they also have I want to say they do a streaming service.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they do live streaming, but they do. They've got their own website. I don't know it off the top of my head. All of these things happened after we stopped doing business with each other. Okay. But they've done some remarkable things. I'm very, very happy for them.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing what they've grown there. Hope I can get to talk to them too about character stuff. So cool. I think we're close to where we need to go at the 45 mark.
Yeah, thereabouts.
So I have all your links down at the bottom. People find, click, follow, hit the I think it's over here. The like and stuff button, depending on what platform you are. So thanks for coming on, Nigel. Much appreciated.
Oh, you're welcome.
Hope you do. Where can people find you besides the links?
I mean, I'm available on the social media platforms. Nigel Rabid. If you seem to be a real human being, I tend to accept your friend request. Just so long as it's not, it doesn't look like you've just signed up the account 3 minutes ago and have never done anything in your life.
Yeah.
Those are the people that definitely get put on pause. But I try to be reasonably responsive to it. You can find me on Twitter at Nigel Rabid. I've got a very poorly updated Instagram at the Rabid Empire. I've got other things, like, for example, I used to do my own podcast, which may turn into a live stream scenario called the Nigel Rabid Show. And I'm thinking about bringing that back, given the fact that we seem to have time. I used to do a Queen podcast called All the Queen's Men, and that's still up. And what we would do is we would kind of BBC style listen to an album and discuss the album, talk about the songs, and kind of treat it like radio play. At the time, we had some internet radio coverage with it through. I can't remember the name of the initials of the radio station right off the top. Was it KFNY? I think is what it was. KFNY. And we made it all the way. We didn't make it as far as I wanted to. I wanted to go all the way into solo work and to side band projects and do those kinds of things. And then if the show continued doing well, spin it off into doing other entertaining. Talk about other things in British music, come to America, that kind of thing. Cool. But we ended up stopping.
Absolutely now. Like
there are so many. There's so many, like, just with what you can do with something like, for example, StreamYard. I was playing with StreamYard yesterday, and we had five fellows on. I had a green screen background going, so I had the page logo. It was all very neat. Cool. So you can generally find me. I mean, really, just look for Nigel Rabid. I really only think that there's only me. And if you find any pages that look like it might be me, it probably is. I've got like three. I've got 2 pages just on Nigel Rabid. Right. One's supposed to be more of my entertainment industry work, and the other is supposed to be my wrestling
Oh, okay.
my wrestling work. I just have been really super lazy about differentiating the two.
It's hard because, like you said, it's you. So I've had the similar thing, try to split things. Like, no, just combine it. It's you. It makes so much more sense. And sometimes I feel when I pitch the more corporate side, the more weirder side, I get further because it's fresh. Everybody pitched this corporate style in this corporate manner, and then you come in like, I remember you because you don't sound like everybody else.
Absolutely, I forget which actress it was, but there was an actress who, when she went in for auditions, she'd go in chewing.
No.
And they tell her she got to read, and she go, stick it underneath her chair, and go ahead and do the reading. And then she would never collect the gum, and she'd leave. And they'd be like, "Oh my God, this rude person! We got to get that gum off of there." And they flip the chair over, and there's nothing underneath. And they went, "Oh my God, she was acting." But that's how, and I wish I could remember who it was, but that's how she made a name for herself. Danny DeVito. Danny DeVito, when he got his first big role in Taxi, the way he got that role was coming in and just losing it. You call this a script? This is the worst. And I mean, what was his character's name? Tony was perfect for that character. Yeah. No, his character was exactly that.
You got to work it and then wink at him and you walk out. Like them know you're not really that much of an asshole. Sometimes it may backfire.
Well, in this day and age, perhaps, but I think more back then, more people were willing to go, wait a minute.
Yeah.
That fellow was creative,
That's fine.
But you got to do something to differentiate. And that's part of the reason why. Part of the reason why I do story time with Nigel. And when I do story time with Nigel, I'll talk to my wrestling fans that are on there, but I will not talk about wrestling.
Oh, really?
And I've had people, they'll post questions. This isn't, and I'll say, I'm not answering wrestling questions on this. I'll do a live stream later tonight, and I'll answer your questions later. But this is just for story time, and
sometimes you gotta differentiate, and it works out.
Yeah.
Cool. So,
but thank you so much for having me on. I really do appreciate it, and I would love to come back when I've got more time, or when we've got more time. We coordinate our schedule a little bit better, because I promise you, I can go on for much longer. The first podcast I ever did, the poor fella had he was hoping to get 2 hours. He had to break the podcast into 2 episodes.
Oh wow!
That were 2 hours each. So
cool.
I don't have a problem talking.
Okay.
It's the one thing I know I can do well.
We'll find some topics and we'll dig in deep. It'll be fun.
Excellent.
Cool. So I'm gonna stop the stream now. So bye everybody. Later.
Bye. Thank you.